we went over earlier today. So the community standard conversation agreements: be curious and listen to understand, show respect and suspend judgment, note any common ground as well as any differences, be authentic and welcome that from others, be purposeful and to the point, own and guide the conversation. Okay. So we are welcoming Kate Idzorek today. She, her, hers. Kate is the program manager of Spice Kitchen Incubator and International Rescue Committee. Kate has been working with food since she was a child in northern Minnesota. She obtained a degree in sociology with a focus on food systems in Portland, Oregon. Subsequently, Kate went on to work with cashew cooperatives in Central America and Indonesia, developing markets in the United States under fair trade practices. Following that, she spent almost a decade in Fairbanks, Alaska, developing and operating a food business incubator program for the University of Alaska Fairbanks Cooperative Extension Service. Kate joined Spice Kitchen in 2016 and really enjoys the Salt Lake network and diverse clientele as she assists spice entrepreneurs to add new flavor to Salt Lake City. With that, please welcome Kate.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because you don't need to stare at me all day. So I put in some other things for you to look at while I talk. Let me get that started. All right. Is everyone able to see my screen? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for the amazing introduction, Ray. I am grateful to be here. I was able to join this conference last year as well, and I find it so invigorating and inspiring to be with so many students and people that are looking for a better future in this world and looking at being a positive acting in part of that. As you heard in my bio, I've obviously been in food my whole life. I truly, truly love to eat. I love to taste food from just about anywhere, and I find that it drives me every day. I had the opportunity as a kid I'm a child of the 80s, and I somehow got to miss out on many of the canned foods and boxed foods and everything, because we had a huge garden and we harvested game meat and did a ton of fishing, and were able to also harvest things like mushrooms in the woods. And so I always ate really, really well. And I come from a family that was lower income, but I felt like I didn't notice it nearly as much because we always had that good food on the table and so available to us. And that has been a true driver for me for the rest of my life. So I will start with the imagined tomorrow. My slides don't have any information, honestly, that are going to relate too much to what I'm speaking about, but I feel like all of the pictures show exactly what I'm talking about, what economic equity actually could look like and is looking like through the services that we're providing and the fight that we're all fighting for. So the Imagine Tomorrow, I would like you all to imagine a main street that represents all people in the US and the world and lifts up all people in the US and the world. I want you to imagine thriving communities where everyone is housed and fed and treated as equals, because everybody has so much value. And I want to draw particular attention to this photo because I think that it's a great example of what America actually looks like. We have many cultures, we have many colors, we have many ideas, and we have so many skills to share with each other that we should all embrace that. So our goal and my goal is to improve economic well-being for individuals across the board. And to do that, it's set in a foundation of three sort of principles. It's a foundation of having enough income to be able to not only pay for what you need to today, but to be able to save for tomorrow and to be able to purchase things not only that you need, but that you want. Same for your children, for your parents, for everything. Assets. Everybody needs assets. Assets allow you to move from just living for today to actually having something that you can leverage for tomorrow while also using it today. So assets may be a car, they may be a house, or it may be a business that you are that is sustainable and has value. And the third one is credit. We, I think, in the U.S. are able to a certain extent, kind of feel comfortable with credit because we have it. It's there just through us growing up here in the U.S. But it's not always available to everybody. And sometimes I think we look at credit as like, oh no, if I didn't pay my credit card bill on time, maybe my credit went down a little bit. But overall, we have that. And everybody needs that credit to be able to take those risks and next steps, to be able to access capital, to access what they want. So what does this look like as a result? Not just these words. That everyone has enough good, culturally appropriate food on the table. That everyone has stable housing. Everyone has economic opportunity and is able to participate in the society, has the time, the will, the desire, and is respected as a participant in that society. Oops, stay there. So I'm going to move to the pathways of civic engagement in which this discussion is lying within, and that's philanthropy and social entrepreneurship. Spice Kitchen is a social enterprise. And we also work with entrepreneurs who want to be more impactful than just being a business owner, but truly want to create social enterprises as well to help the community, to help those that they love, or to somehow provide positive impact. And also corporate social responsibility. So I think of sometimes corporate social responsibility just seems like this program that large corporations have. But small businesses actually care so much more about their communities. And because they live within that community and their customers are also their neighbors all the time, they tend to make a more socially responsible enterprise from day one than somebody with a large corporation. And so I find that in itself is a great driver. But then also we work really hard to talk to large corporations and educate them on community need and how they can actually be impactful with their social engagement and their social entrepreneur or their corporate responsibility programs. All right. From there, I'm going to discuss the barriers that we actually see today so that we have a nice framework to move from on why we're doing the work that we're doing to try to create a more just and equitable economy. So barriers include unequal access to education and markets. You all are so lucky. You get to be in college right now. You had this opportunity to go to college. Not only did you get to graduate high school, but you got that next step. And that makes such a difference. It allows you to gain skills and certifications for industry-specific knowledge. And you're going to be able to take that and leverage that to be able to get a better job and a job that you truly love. Also, there's unequal access, but many people don't have that opportunity. Sorry. And even if they do, maybe they only get part of it, but then they can't go back to get all of the training that they need. There's also unequal access to market. So a small business owner may have this amazing business concept that would be truly valuable to the community or many different customers. But without knowing how to navigate and get access to that, to your customers and create or participate in the markets, it's hard for you to survive and thrive. Many also face lending discrimination. This could be based on their race. I think that this is very evident right now because of COVID. Many businesses were negatively impacted, as we know. And so to help small businesses, the federal government came out with what's called a payment protection program. It's a loan program, but it's forgivable. So essentially, as long as you spent that money on your business, either to make up for lost capital or other losses due to the pandemic, or to be able to make sure you're covering the expenses that you need to right now to continue to survive through the rest of the pandemic, that you don't have to pay that money back. And so that's really awesome. Small businesses truly need that, right? Like you're in a vulnerable state. But when you look closer at the PPP loan, only 2% of the loans went to Black-owned businesses. And I think that that clearly demonstrates this huge divide and the discrimination that does exist within our lending, not even just for emergencies, but then also for everyday capital access. And then in addition to that, there's also things that are language barriers and digital barriers that make it so that you can't even get yourself to the table, or if you bring yourself to the table, you can't communicate everything well enough, that you end up being discriminated against because it's just too hard to deal with somebody that you can't communicate with. So someone maybe doesn't have very good English language skills. They can't just go to the bank and figure out how to do a loan process because they don't have anyone to talk to do that. And then also the digital barriers of, maybe they don't have the capacity to go online to get all of their statements that they need to show their income and expenses, or to print out their business plan, or to be able to make it look beautiful so it's attractive to a lender. And on top of all of that, there's just overall limited access to capital because of their financial positioning, because of that lack of credit score, because of that lack of assets, and because of low income. And then that paired with trying to navigate those government and regulatory processes makes it very difficult. So one, I think a story I heard the other day that I wanted to share with you all. I was talking to this gentleman, and he was saying that he went into Salt Lake County to get a microloan for his newest business concept. He's been an entrepreneur for years. He is highly educated. He has a master's degree, born and raised in the US, and he's white, and was able to leverage all of these things to go in to this meeting for this loan with everything he needed. And he was sitting there so confident, knowing that he had everything that he needed, and he knew that he was going to get that loan. But he was sitting next to a woman who had limited language skills and didn't necessarily know the whole process of what to do for a loan. So while he sat there knowing everything's going to be fine, she sat there very scared to not even know if she was using her time in a way that would actually result in getting the funding she needed to grow her small business. And I think that just visualizing that really helps set the stage. So, however, without all of the above, without access to capital, with all of these barriers, one would say, all right, well, let's rely on the savings. But minimal savings, most people don't have much for savings that are in this position because they have to take low-wage jobs and lack the access to higher paying jobs. Again, looping back to that education part, but also other barriers. So working in the refugee community, I have the opportunity to work or speak to many different people, obviously. And there are so many refugees and immigrants that arrive in this country that are highly educated. And they have certifications, and they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were school teachers, they were school principals. But they're not able to leverage any of that education or certification in the US because it's not valid. So though they have that knowledge and skill, they have to make a choice of, do I take a job that can just put food on the table today? Or do I potentially put my family at risk while I go back to school for 4, 6, 8 years to be able to get the appropriate credentials in the US to create a better life? And that's a really hard decision to make. And it's something that even if you do decide that you want to go back for that certification or that education, you need to have the funds available or have some avenue to get into that school to be able to move forward. So that's a whole pile of barriers. And it's really interesting because even with all these barriers, immigrants start and operate small businesses at a higher rate than their US-born counterparts across the nation. So it shows, I think, also a great resilience and a desire to succeed. So that's what we try to do also. We are working to try to change this overall narrative and to reduce these barriers for the individuals that are within our program. I'm going to back up just a little bit and give you an overview of what the International Rescue Committee is and what Spice Kitchen is now. So the International Rescue Committee is an international humanitarian aid organization working across the world in many countries. But in the U.S., we primarily provide refugee resettlement services. And what that means is that if you come to the country as a newly arrived refugee, it's yourself or with your family or whatever that is, that you receive services for generally 3 to 6 months to be able to access your first job, to be able to get your kids enrolled in school and make sure they know how to get to school, know how to get on the bus, make sure that you know how to get to your health appointments and know how to contact a doctor if you need to, be able to access a driver's license, figure out how to buy a car, all of those kinds of things. But if you think about it, if you were a stranger in a strange land and only had 3 to 6 months of support and don't speak the language, that's pretty scary. That's very short amount of support. And I need to give mad props to Utah because we actually have 24 months of case management for these newly arrived refugees, which means we get to do all these things that occur generally in the first 3 to 6 months for refugees across the nation. But we also then get to spend another 1.5 years plus with these individuals to help them not only take those first steps in the new country, but to actually then come back and say, well, you know what, I do now that I have a little bit of income, I want to get a certification to move up to my next position or to get a better job or to start leveraging the skills that I have. And that's where Spice Kitchen started its services, or what it's based in, is that there were many people that had food business skills. They were making food in their countries of origin or selling, either owned restaurants or had street stalls or any number of things. And they wanted to be able to share that cuisine with the U.S. while also providing a better living for themselves and doing something that they truly love. And so we, though, work not only with refugees, but we work with anyone of low to moderate income that is experiencing the barriers that I outlined in the previous slide, which means that we have the opportunity to work with people from across 25 countries right now, representing 5 different continents. And we also get to work with them from this initial concept all the way to seeing their food in the community. And it's so tangible. I think that's the most exciting thing, is that the result is so tangible. You can, after all of the work is done, we can go eat that food all the time. And it's delicious and it feels good to be doing it. So Spice Kitchen has essentially 4 phases. We work with entrepreneurs for over a 5-year period generally. And it starts with an application and interview process. Anybody of low to moderate income is welcome to apply for the program. And then 2 times a year, we carry out interviews with all of these individuals. And not during COVID, but pre-COVID and hopefully in the near future post-COVID, or more normalized, I guess, environment. We have an in-person interview with each individual, and they bring a sample of their food, and we sit down and have a real conversation about why they want to be an entrepreneur, why they want to start a food business, and what do they really want to put into it. And through that conversation, we're able to work with them to determine if they would be potentially a good fit for the program. And if they are a good fit for the program, then they go into incubation, which is about 6 to 8 months long, at which point they carry out all aspects of business planning and creating one solid written business plan at the end of pre-incubation, as well as getting food safety certification and understanding who's going to be involved in making their business operate, such as regulatory processes and the like. And then we assist them in accessing all those licenses and permits, and they go into incubation. They generally spend, so now in 5 years total, they've got about 4 to 4.5 years left that we're providing support in that incubation phase. And so initially we work with them to access markets, possibly through farmers markets or getting packaged products into local retail stores, caterings, and then also spice administered opportunities specifically. So like one of those examples is Spice to Go, which is a hot meal pickup service once a week that features a different chef each week. And the community can sign up to purchase a meal, and then they pick it up on Thursday afternoon on their way home from work. And the goal with that was to try to replace going and picking up a pizza on your way home to feed your kids dinner or to feed yourself dinner or something like that, and instead to provide an opportunity to get delicious food from around the world and support small businesses. So they then have, through those market opportunities, as well as access to commercial kitchens, they're able to start practicing hands-on. They get to build those skills through hands-on development in a low-risk environment. Because we are there to be able to provide support and feedback and technical assistance and everything like that. And so in the first couple years, they're generally a part-time business, but they start to get their brand known. They start to get out and have customers, and they start to figure out what avenue they want to take for a full-time business concept. And so then we assist them to scale up to that full-time business concept, at which point they become a restaurant or a food truck or doing full packaged products in grocery stores. There's one woman that was in the program that started a packaged sushi business and is now selling her product in 3 states across the nation. And so once they've scaled up, we continue to be there for them. But ultimately, as they have those skills, they graduate from the program. And at that point, we are still fully available if there are questions or things to navigate. But I think the most exciting part is that they tend to start giving back then as well. They start mentoring people that are newer in the program. They start sharing their experiences and they want everyone to succeed that's in the program also. It's not competitive, it's very communal. And the outcome is obvious. So I think the thing about our services that's really unique is that unlike conventional small business resources, such as going to a small business development center or something like that, we provide culturally and linguistically and digitally accessible training and technical assistance that is ongoing for that full 5-year phase. And that is so essential to the long-term health of a business, because the first 5 years of business are basically infancy. And in particular for food businesses that have a really high rate of failure, having that hands-on support to navigate the hurdles that you run into in that early phase of business ownership can help reduce or increase your overall success of sustaining through that 5 years and getting into a truly viable and sustainable long-term business. And working with as a program of the International Rescue Committee, I feel like we have even more to offer, which is so exciting. So we also offer wraparound services that are available not just to SPICE clients, but to all IRC clients. And they're so essential. So we provide financial capability services and credit building. So financial capability is getting to know your household or your business income, expenses, how you're using your money, how you're making your decisions for using that money, and being knowledgeable about the financial transactions within your life. And credit building is so key because immigrants arrive in the US with no credit score. It's literally 0. So you just don't have any way to utilize that credit score or to I guess, access things that require credit, which can be obviously loans, but it also may mean that you can't even get an apartment because your landlord requires you to have a specific credit score or higher. And so the services that are provided for that include things like credit building loans, which range in size from $100 to $1,000. They're 0 interest, and they're paid back over a 12 to 18-month period. And just paying back a loan and having that reported to the credit bureau significantly grows their credit score. We also provide assistance if there are credit issues, such as having high debt because there was an emergency and you had to go to the hospital and didn't have insurance. And now you're stuck with this giant bill that you don't know how to pay and you're kind of drowning in that. Our team, or the IRC services, will help call the hospital and set up a payment plan to make sure that you're getting back on a path toward financial sustainability and health. We also offer match savings programs, which I think are so neat. And I think they're like one of my favorite concepts because it's essentially a savings account. You put in money But then the organization also puts in money. So for every dollar that you put in, the organization matches your dollar with a dollar. And you save for over a certain period of time. It can vary depending on your savings goals, what you're saving for, and everything like that. But once you have gotten to the full amount of your savings, you get both the matched money and your savings to take, and you do not have to pay it back. So it's not a loan. It's actually like a savings account that you're using. And that de-risks your financial ideas so much versus banking on the fact that whatever you purchase is going to ensure that you have sufficient funds to pay back that loan down the road. So it just overall, and then it also means that you're not using your income to be paying back a loan, and instead are able to use that for your business and for your household. We also provide access to capital up to $20,000 in loans to small businesses. And the cool thing about the capital, the program, it's called the Center for Economic Opportunity, is that the loans aren't just based on the income, assets, and credit, right? They're actually based on having a good referral or a good business concept, and us taking a risk, or CEO taking a risk on you wanting to better yourself. And it's great. Just like microloans across the world, they generally have a much higher repayment rate than any conventional lenders do. We also provide things like a down payment assistance program, helping people get into their first homes and owning homes, which then creates assets for them. And we provide digital literacy and digital tools. So not only that literacy piece, but also being able to provide a computer to your household so that you're able to get online or getting internet service and that kind of thing. And I think that this holistic approach and the holistic support really fosters these long-term positive outcomes that we see in our clients. So with all of that, I'm going to go to a few success stories of what economic equity can look like. I'm going to start with Yupin and Wachai. They own Lana Thai, which is right by Pioneer Park, and Yupin was working at Lana Thai, or it was then under a previous name, but she strictly worked there as an employee. Hold on a second. And then one day the owners came in and said, we're going to sell this business. And she was so scared because she was going to lose her job. And she wanted to make sure that she loved cooking. Like, she truly loves cooking, and she was really upset about it. And then she learned about Spice Kitchen and was able to join the program. And through our support, they purchased that business, rebranded it to their own business, and have been able to grow their income continuously from the day that they launched. They paid back their loan on that in less than 12 months. And that shows like that they had sufficient income to be able to pay that whole loan. And so now they are a debt-free business that continues to grow and sell great food, leveraging their culinary talent and providing a great opportunity for that is improve their household as well as their business. Another one is Bhutan House. This is a family from Bhutan, and they arrived in the U.S. as refugees, and they actually didn't have food skills, but they loved cooking, and they did cooking just for social events or family events or that kind of thing. And so they joined the program and initially found success at farmers markets and everything like that, or different market opportunities, initially testing their business concept. And then they were able to launch their own restaurant a couple of years ago, which is down in Sandy, called Bhutan House. And now they have created full-time jobs for themselves and are successfully operating that business continually. So I think we are pretty close on time right now, right? Okay, so I could go on and on with success stories. I love all of the entrepreneurs in the program, and they have such great things going. But I'm going to leave that there. If you want to learn more about our entrepreneurs, please go to our website or feel free to ask me more in the question and answer. And I'm going to move to the action items that I would like for you. I would like, I know that you're all college students, and I know you probably don't have a ton of savings, but I bet you all go out and eat food somewhere out pretty regularly. So I would like to challenge all of you to go eat at least one Spice Kitchen food business in the next month. And this could be at a restaurant such as Delicious, which is now in Jade Market in downtown Salt Lake. It could be at Bhutan House Restaurant in Sandy, or it could be at Lana Thai. You can also go visit any of our food trucks. Jamaica's Kitchen can be found at many of the breweries around town, as well as special events across the city, and he can be found out at least 6 days a week. So you can find him and check out his Facebook page to get his schedule. Cafe Mamai is another one, which is actually, he was on the U of U campus all last year, so some of you may have actually tasted his food there. And Halab's Jasmine Kitchen is another one. So keep your eyes out for all of that. Again, all of the businesses are on our website, and feel free to reach out if you have other questions or want to learn more about where and how to access the food. And of course, Spice to Go. Feel free to come get Spice to Go. You won't have to cook that night.
Where is Spice Kitchen located, by the way?
We currently operate out of Square Kitchen. So we're having a new kitchen built out, but we've been able to, so we utilize Square Kitchen as the commercial kitchen space. And then that's where Spice to Go is for pickup and everything like that. And that's 751 West, 800 South.
Thank you.
Yes.
That is down the street from where I live.
Ah, perfect.
I want to hear questions from everybody. If you are willing to, feel free to unmute and ask them verbally. You can send your questions to me. You can send them to Kate. You can send just send them to everyone if you want. Leave that open for you all, and we have about 10-ish minutes, so go for it.